Hello, my loves, my beloved people, and welcome to another episode of The Reclamation. I am Paula Collins, your Magdalene Sound Priestess, energy healer, and spirituality mentor. And this is a very impromptu podcast today because I have had the week. I'm sure many of you can identify with having the week, like having those moments where you feel like everything is just spinning out of control. Have you had that? Have you felt that? Mine has been finding stillness in this spiral of overwhelm this week. I've been there. And even though I have my grounding practices, even though I can give myself Reiki, even though I can give myself a sound bath, sometimes it happens to all of us. It doesn't matter where we are on this spectrum in our spiritual journey. We all hit these moments where we are feeling so overwhelmed that we forget everything else because we have responsibilities, expectations, and yes, our own inner pressure that builds up when there is so much on our plates and we don't know how to begin, how to calm ourselves, and how to get out of it. And it happens to everybody. I don't care if this is just you beginning on your spiritual journey, or you are like one of my mentors who has been at this for 20 to 30 years. We all experience overwhelm because let's face it, life's on a regular basis. And so today, I want to walk you through the energy of overwhelm. And it's not to push it away, but it's to use it as our teacher so we can learn from it and we can return to this place of stillness. Because isn't that what we want in our lives? So let me tell you about my own personal experience this week. I am in this incredible divine feminine business mastermind with about 30 other women. All of us are spiritual entrepreneurs in some way, shape, or form. But many of us don't really know how to market ourselves. We don't know how to do all the back end stuff. We don't always know how to set ourselves up for success because we are so in the doing of what we offer. I am meeting with clients, having private Reiki and one-on-one sessions. I am either coming out of leading a program or moving into leading the next program. But I don't always understand what I need to do to set myself up for success. So I'm in this container and we are getting down to the real meaty part of the whole thing. Oh my goodness. And I'm looking at all of these things that are so techy. And your girl, Paula, I am not a techie person. I turn on my computer or I get on social media and I just expect everything to work for me. I don't know how to do all the fun, slick tricks and tips that I need to be really flashy. I just get on and I am me, right? But there are so many things on the back end that I have to learn how to do. And this week we received like a huge thing to help us get into the organization of everything that we have coming up over the next couple of months. And it's a Trello board. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this, but at a glance, When you first look at the Trello board that is set up for you, and mine is set up for me, I just had to copy it and make it my own. I was like, oh, this is cool. I love this. I can deal with this. And still, until I started clicking on all of the things. And I started looking at the checklist, and I started looking at all the Google Docs that will help me. And I started looking at all of the spreadsheets and all of that fun stuff. And the overwhelm hit. It really did. On top of that, my husband left for a week to go on a very intense hiking expedition with two of his best buddies. And I had some unexpected visitors at my house and his family, who came with their little dog. Now, I have two kitties that I love dearly, my boys, Dash and Breezy, and they are not used to having other animals in the house. So I have all of this going on. I have my daughter and my granddaughter, who I love both of them. But originally I thought I was going to have the house to myself. And then I find out that I don't, because they needed to be here because of some construction stuff going on at the house. And I get that. And they're not loud people, and they're not getting up in my stuff. But I feel like I have to go into mom, grandma mode. Have you been there? And so I feel like all of a sudden I am wearing all of these different hats. Even though I don't have to, it's something I took on myself, just because of how I'm wired sometimes. You know how that goes? And so I'm looking at all of these things I have to complete for my business mastermind that I'm in. And I'm looking at the stuff that is just released this week to take me into the next level. And I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to get this all done? How can I possibly get all of this completed? How can I possibly do all of these different things? How can I learn it all myself? Because as a solopreneur, I do everything myself. I do all of my own emails. I do all of my own social media. I do everything. I don't have anybody that helps me out. I have to go in and fill in everything on my expenses spreadsheet, on top of meeting with all of my one-to-one clients, getting ready for this incredible Reiki 1 training that I have going on this week. And it's a lot. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, girlfriend, you have bitten off so much this week, you don't even know where to stop. And so all of a sudden, I started feeling the fatigue. I started having the rambling thoughts and the swirling thoughts. I started having moments where I could feel anxiety creeping up on me. And these are normally things that I have under control. But because it all hit at once, I hit the spiral. So I went from where I'm normally at, how I'm normally doing life, and I just started to spiral. Oh, and on top of that, I joined a 30-day Healthy, Wealthy, Thrive challenge to kind of get my body back on track. So I'm also learning how to juice and all these other things at the same time. Forgot to add that in there. So as you can see, I got a lot going on, and I'm going down this spiral. And like I said, the fatigue set in. It doesn't matter that I'm sleeping at night, the fatigue hit during the day. And when the fatigue hits and the swirling thoughts come, I'm sitting there and I'm just staring, and I don't want to move. I don't want to do anything. I go into this paralysis stage, and I forget about my incredible morning routines because it just feels like one more thing on my plate. Instead of thinking about it how I normally do, as this beautiful thing that starts my day and energizes me and builds me up, all of a sudden it becomes something on my checklist. And when it becomes something on my checklist, it doesn't become enjoyable anymore. Can you feel where this is at? And so my body is feeling more tense. I can feel my heart beating. I can feel my mind swirling. It's if I can't remember how to go into the kitchen and make myself something for lunch or dinner, which should be fairly easy to do, but it's one more thing on my plate. Have you felt that way? And so I slip into this place of shame with myself. And we've talked about shame on a prior episode, haven't I? And shame is one of the lowest vibrational things outside of being dead on the scale. Its frequency is so low. I think it's like at a 10 or a 20, which is really low. I slip into that. I'm like, oh my gosh, Paula, you're an energy healer. You're a sound healer. You're a spirituality mentor. You know, you should be able to handle all of this. You're acting as if you just started on a journey, right? I start berating myself because I'm not handling it better. And then I feel guilty that I'm not able to do everything that I feel like I should be able to do, right? So guilt on top of the shame, right? And that's hard. And instead of taking a breath or going upstairs and filling up the bathtub, because that feels like one more thing on the list, oh my gosh, maybe I should take a relaxing bath. I'll put that on top of everything else, right? I get to this point where I just don't want to do anything. Have you been there? You just want it all to be silent. You don't want to think about anything else. You want to go to bed, pull the covers over your head, and just forget. And it's a really interesting place to be. So when I took a moment on Tuesday, after my daughter and my granddaughter had left to go do their errands for the day before my granddaughter started school on Wednesday, I just sat and I could feel my body like thrumming. I don't know, that's the best way I can feel. It's like chaotic energy in my body. And I can feel it. And it's not a good chaotic energy. It's not something that's propelling me and energizing me. It's something that's weighing me down. And I'm staring into my cup of herbal tea. And I just start to cry. And I make a decision at that moment that it is okay to unload these tears. That I need to allow this overwhelm to come out somehow. Because if I don't, I'm going to stay in paralysis. And I feel very grateful that I had this time where nobody is around me to do that. And even though I still had the little doggy in the house, he was sitting on my lap. And he got really comfortable, and I just had my hands on his back. I wasn't even petting him. I just had my hands on his little back. And I'm feeling my body thrumming with this chaotic energy. And I call upon Magdalene, who, as you know, if you've been listening to any of my podcasts, she is my BFF. I call on Magdalene and I call on Yeshua. And I tell them my energy is chaotic. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry right here. My energy is chaotic. It is swirling in ways that I don't feel comfortable. It's actually making me queasy. Like I'm going from this anxiety into this queasy thing. And I can feel it just tensing me up. And I'm like, can you help me to calm down? And the only thing I hear is the word breathe. And I utter this loud, audible thank you, because I needed to hear the word breathe. And I close my eyes. And at first, I just start paying attention to my breathing. And I realized that my breath was so shallow. And I hadn't realized how shallow my breath was at that moment, because my body was going into this fight or flight. It's something that we default into when the overwhelm hits and we have this spiral. And I start to notice my breath. And even though the thoughts are still swirling in my poor little brain, I'm paying attention to my breath the best I can. And as I notice the shallowness that is taking place, I start to become very intentional in my breathing. And I open up my eyes for a moment, and I normally don't do this when I'm paying attention to my breath, but I noticed my mala beads sitting on the table next to me. And I reach over and I grab them and I just hold them to my heart. I know I can't utter my normal mantra right now, but I just hold them to my heart as I'm breathing. And in my clairaudience, which is one of my strongest gifts, I hear Magdalene and Yeshua saying my mantra to me while I am concentrating on my breath. And do you know how beautiful and comforting that felt for me? And as I get my breath under control, and I hear the mantra, I start saying my mantra. My fingers go to my beads and I hear myself saying, I am sacred, I am holy, I am divine, I am beloved. And I start saying it over and over and over again. And it took a while for my body to calm down. I am not going to lie to you. It wasn't instantaneous, like the snap of a finger. It took time. And I was so grateful to have that time. And so I went through that and my breath and my mantra and my breath and my mantra and my breath. And in between each mantra, I would do my box breathing because I knew I needed to bring my system back online. And I'm going to tell you right now, it took me a good 30 minutes to get there. And you know what? I am okay with that. I am okay with that. Because as my system came back online and the thrumming, the chaotic energy started to calm, my thoughts started to calm, and I brought myself back to this place where I said, okay, what is the next most important thing I need to do in this moment? And for a moment, after that half hour was up, it was just feeling myself breathe at a normal pace. That's all. I had to get back online. And the more I did it, the better it got. And then I said, what is the next important thing I need to do? And it was, drink that tea, girlfriend. You need to consume that herbal tea. And so I drank my tea very intentionally. And my body started to feel better. And then I asked myself, what is the next important thing I need to do? See, I started to break it down step by step, moment by moment. I didn't say, what do I have to do today? I said, what is the next important thing I need to do right now? Because when we get into the overwhelm spiral, it is not about the list anymore of what we have to accomplish. It's what do I need to do right now in this moment to bring my body back online? And then I took this very deep, intentional breath. And as I exhaled, I started to imagine, what does it look like if this overwhelm leaves my body? What does it look like outside of me? And I started to picture that with each intentional exhale. Because overwhelm is this sign that we are carrying too much too fast. And our body doesn't need to, it's not that it doesn't need, it doesn't know. It's not designed to do that. And for those of us who are doers, and those of us who like to check things off a list and get everything accomplished, and then you have other things that come in and pile on top of that, we were not meant to process it. So sometimes we need to take that step back. And we need to allow our body to come back to some state of equilibrium. Because overwhelm is this invitation from our body to pause. We just don't want to, because we want to check everything off the list. We want to get everything done. You know what? What is the worst thing that can happen if we don't get everything done? We have to do it tomorrow. It's the worst thing that's going to happen. Is there something that can be put off until the next day that takes one thing off your list? Is there something that you can ask somebody, can you do this for me? Because I can't do it right now. And many times this overwhelm is stuck in these old patterns that we have of being perfect. How many of you still have moments of perfectionism coming in? Perfectionism is such a paralyzer because it doesn't allow us to move forward. It says, I can't go on to my next task until I get this right, or I can't present this until it is perfect. Part of this business mastermind that I have been a part of, we spent 3 days in an in-person immersion. And one of the women who was a graduate from the program that I am in right now came back. And she said, give yourself permission to do a B plus. And at first my brain said, oh no, Paula, it's gotta be the A plus. And I had to get in there and say, no, it doesn't. B plus is fantastic. Maybe that day you only need to be a C plus. Maybe you just need to be average. And it is okay to be average. I am giving you permission to be average. We got to get out of this perfectionism thing that has been drilled into us from so many different places, my friends. It may have come from us or at us from our parents, from our grandparents, from aunts and uncles, from comparison to other people, from patriarchal structures, from stupid ads on magazines and on TV that says, If you want to get the perfect mate, this is what you got to look like. It's BS. It is total BS. You don't have to do anything like anybody else. Sure, you may work in a job where you have certain standards that you have to hit, but you don't have to do it like anyone else. You do it like you. But we are stuck in the constructs of a culture that makes us want to cultivate perfectionism. Then we have that old pattern of people pleasing, don't we? And I was the perfect definition of people pleasing for most of my life, and I know I've shared that before. But wanting to make everybody else happy, wanting to do things for everyone else because we need outside validation. Pleasing everybody else because we don't want to let them down, right? Or we have this fear of disappointing other people. I almost didn't make this podcast because of my fear that I have to be a certain way to come on here and talk to you about life. Because to show my overwhelm is so vulnerable. And it's scary to be vulnerable. Because we are taught not to show those parts of us that aren't perfect. But I am here to tell you that no matter where we are on our journey, we always have those moments. These are things that my mentors have taught me. And when I look at them and how they show up and what they do, it is difficult for me to see them as somebody who doesn't have it all together. But then they share things like that with me, and I realize that we all have it, and it is okay. So you're probably wondering, what on earth can I do when this stuff hits? Let me give you some practical tools and spiritual tools that you can use, things that I use in my life. Okay? I'm not telling you to do anything that I don't do. These are things that I have learned to do, that I've learned from my mentors and from peers that have been so incredibly helpful in my life. The first one is breath work. I'm telling you right now, when you tune into your breath and you just notice, how am I breathing right now? Am I able to take a deep breath? What is preventing me? And starting to slow down to notice that, it changes so much. So whether it's just taking that deep inhale and allowing a full cleansing breath out of your mouth, exhale, or doing the box breath where you inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. Breathing helps to regulate your nervous system. It really does. You can also do butterfly tapping. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but you put your hands crisscross over your heart. And then you just start tapping each hand individually over your heart. You do it slowly. And as you're doing it, you slow your breath down. And why I say crisscross over your heart, because you are trying to get the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of your brain online. And so when you tap your left hand over the right side of your chest and your right hand over the left side of your chest over your heart, you are allowing yourself to focus on something else. And that's what we need to do when we get into this overwhelm spiral, is focus on something else outside of ourselves. Another thing that you can do is movement. You can stand up and just shake your whole body however you want to do, right? You just shake it all out. You just start maybe with your hands and your arms, maybe moving your feet intermittently, maybe dancing around in circles. Maybe you do toe touches. Maybe you twist the top of your body and you have your arms out to the side. So you're creating almost like this windmill effect. Maybe you enjoy yoga and you go into some simple yoga, right? Maybe you put on music and you just dance around. Maybe you open up the door, you go outside and you get outside into the fresh air, take your shoes off, get your feet on the ground, planted. Maybe you go and you just wrap your arms around a tree. Yes, I am one of those people. And you say to the tree, I am spiraling right now. Will you help me root in place? Will you help my energy slow down? And when you ask that tree for permission and you place your hands and your head on that tree and you are intentional and you do it from a place of surrender and you allow yourself to tap in, that tree is going to come to your rescue. Maybe you go out and you have flowers. Maybe you sit and you stare at a flower, or you bend over and you inhale the fragrance of that flower. Maybe the breeze is going and you just watch the movement in the trees. These are things that you can do to bring your nervous system back online. Another thing that I love to do is Reiki on myself or sound healing. I love that I have my bowls, I have my drums, whatever I have around me, I will use. Sometimes I just need to pick out my drum, and I got a new one recently, that I can just tap and hear that. And I tap it slowly. I tap the drum slowly, and it allows me to try to synchronize myself with the drum beat. The sound, well, sound takes me to another place. If you don't have sound bowls, you can find on Spotify or on YouTube, wherever you listen to music, where you stream it, you can find 432 hertz. You can find 528 hertz music to listen to. Or maybe you place your hands over your heart while you're breathing and you just start humming or toning. Because when you start humming and toning, you start to concentrate on something else and it brings your body back online. Remember that butterfly tapping I told you about? You can do that with humming or toning as well. Maybe it's a moment that you pick up a journal and you just start writing all the things down that are in your head. Because when you get it out of your head and you get it down onto a piece of paper, then you can go back and say, what do I have to do next? And what can wait till later? What is important now and what can I do later? And you can number them, you can star them, you can underline them, you can highlight them, whatever it is, but you can get it out of your head and into paper. And after all of that, We go back to the spiritual side of this. See, overwhelm is this veil that blocks us from hearing our inner guidance. And coming into stillness and into a regulated nervous system clears the way for us to listen into the messages. That's what I did with the breath when I was feeling the overload. After I took the moment to breathe and I sat there and I allowed myself to come into stillness, I could then hear the voice of my guides. And that is the most beautiful gift that you can give yourself. How long is this going to take you? I don't know. Sometimes it can be, do you hear my fingers? Quick and instantaneous. Sometimes, like the beginning of this week, it took me almost an hour to come back online. If this happens and you are not at home, I invite you, especially if you're at work, I invite you to take a potty break, go into the restroom, close the stall door, and either sit down or stand there and take a moment to breathe. Give yourself that time away. Or maybe if you have the luxury of walking out to your car and getting in your car and sitting there to breathe, to get away, and you can do that for a moment to regulate your nervous system, even if it's 3 minutes or 5 minutes, any little thing you can do can help you if you don't have the luxury of sitting there and allowing it to happen. Because thinking of everything else that you have to do and what you have to get done is not going to bring your nervous system back online. It won't. It will just get worse, and it'll keep building and building and building. And as it builds and builds and builds, do you know what happens, my beautiful friends? Our body will shut us down. It's called illness. It'll happen. Your body will say, you know what? You're not going to take the time to come into stillness. I'm going to shut you down. I'm going to bring on a headache. I'm going to bring on a cold. I'm going to bring on the flu. Whatever it is, it'll happen. Sometimes the things that happen to us is because we're sitting with an unregulated nervous system. And the body keeps the score. It can bring on digestive issues. It can bring on elimination issues. Your body will do something to make you stop. It happened to me at the beginning of the year when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, all I wanted to create, all these other things on top of me deciding to go through the 7 bolted gates of Vijnana, which is a discussion for a whole nother podcast. I ended up with flu A and pneumonia. You want to talk about a body shutting somebody down? Oh yeah, it did it. It did it hard. It said, why are you doing too much, Paula? And it shut me down hard. So remember that. Take the time to do it. And if you only have 3 to 5 minutes, that's okay. Maybe you need to take a couple of 3 to 5 minute breaks a couple times during your work day to go somewhere to regulate your nervous system if you can't and you don't have the luxury of being able to sit. But let me remind you of something really important, and I want you to tune in. And if you hear nothing else that I've said this entire time, think of this. Overwhelm does not mean you are failing. It means you are human. And I know a lot of us feel that we are superhuman. We get that from all the superhero movies, right? Super mom, super dad, superwoman, superman, whatever it is. You are not failing. You are human. But this is the most important part. Within you is the power to return to calm. Within you is the power to return to calm. And when you remember this, it changes everything. Maybe you even want to write that on a note where you can see it. Overwhelm does not mean you're failing. It means you are human, and within you is the power to return to calm. Maybe you need to change that and put it into a voice note on your phone that says, overwhelm does not mean I am failing. It means I am human, and within me is the power to return to calm. Maybe it needs to become a mantra for you. Mantras are powerful. Mantras are something that we repeat over and over and over again. So I invite you to remember that. So for the next week, after you hear this, I want you to pick one practice that I talked about, whether it's breath work, movement, sound healing, toning, butterfly tapping, journaling. And I want you to start practicing it every day so that it is something that you can come back to. So when overwhelm rises up within you, you have it. It's in memory, becomes muscle memory, and you can go to it. And maybe you take with you a short affirmation that says, I breathe, I soften, I return to me. I breathe, I soften, I return to me. If it is safe for you right now to take a moment to stop, I would like you to gently close your eyes. And I would like you to bring yourself into stillness. Place one hand over your heart, the other hand over your belly or over your womb space. And just feel into your body right now. Do you feel any tightness or tension anywhere? Where is it? Breathe into those areas. Notice your breath. When you're breathing normally, is it shallow? Take a deep breath in through your nose, my friends, deeply into your body, filling yourself up as completely as you possibly can. And then exhale fully through your mouth on a sigh. When we make a sound, we release so much. Inhaling again through your nose, filling yourself up so completely. And then fully exhaling through an open mouth on a sigh, maybe even sticking your tongue out this time. Inhaling again so deeply, filling yourself up, pausing at the top of that inhale and feeling the fullness of it within your body. And as you exhale, do one final sigh. Let it all out. And then as you go back to your normal breath, take a moment, shake out your hands, shake out your arms, shake out your body, move your feet if you are sitting down. And just allow the energy within you to flow. Remember that when we shake out, we are moving stagnant energy within our bodies. And then bring both of your hands back to your heart center. And take another deep inhale in through your nose. Exhaling fully through your mouth. And repeat after me. I breathe, I soften, I return to me. I breathe, I soften, I return to me. I breathe, I soften, I return to me. Take a really big, deep inhale. And as you exhale, say, I breathe. And feel gratitude for that breath as you exhale. Take another deep inhale. And as you exhale, say, I breathe. And feel gratitude for that exhale. Take another deep inhale and say, I soften as you exhale. And feel gratitude for that softening in your body. A deep inhale. And as you exhale, with gratitude, say, I soften, and feel more softening within your body. One more deep inhale. And as you exhale, say, I return to me, and feel yourself smile as you say it. Take just a moment to sit with that as you breathe normally. Feel those beautiful affirmations within your body, within your heart, within your mind, within your soul. And then when you're ready, blink your beautiful eyes open gently. Thank you so much for sharing this episode with me. It felt so good to be vulnerable with you and to share this information with you. If you know of somebody who is experiencing overwhelm right now in their life, share this episode with them. It is the greatest gift that we can give to another person when we share things with them that will help bring their nervous system back online. If you would like more information on how to work with me through sound healing, Reiki, or one-to-one coaching, I will have my information in the show notes. Feel free to get in touch with me. I would love to talk to you about it. Until we meet again next time, I want you to remember something so incredibly important. This is a place where you are seen. This is a place where you are held. And this is a place where you are safe and you can be you. Thank you so much for sharing this moment with me. So much love for you, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye for now.